Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our January 16th Explore Academy Rio Rancho Governing Council meeting. And we will take a quick roll call. And I'm going to have all the board members introduce themselves. Since we're virtual today, I am Mike Mezejewski, the governing chair for Rio Rancho Explore Academy.
Chris Kenworthy, the vice chair for Explore Academy Rio Rancho.
Kip Mackey, the secretary for the board at Rio Rancho Explore Academy.
Thank you. And we also have in attendance our board liaison, Karen Warner, and we have our I don't even, as far as the everything as far as Rio Rancho Explore Academy, Jacqueline Bogue, the principal district chair, or whatever. I don't know what the exact title is. What is it, Jackie?
Head administrator.
Just head administrator. Okay. So very good. So thank you. And that's all that we have present as far as that. Do we have anybody in waiting, Karen?
So we do have several members, a few members in the audience, just a few.
Okay.
And we have Mr. Padilla here for your finance reports. But
Okay.
let me just open up the chat to them. Folks, if you are here for public comment on items that are on the agenda, now is the time to give your name or in the chat or raise your digital hand, and the governing board will promote you to the panel to make your comment. Again, these are items, a comment regarding items on tonight's agenda. There is another public comment section later in the agenda for items not on the agenda, but it's important for the board to hear you about agenda items before they discuss them. So public comment regarding items on the agenda, please raise your digital hand or put your name in the chat.
Thank you. And so on that note, do we have
Hold on. Let's just give them a second to see. I don't see anything yet, but
well, I was going to get a approval for the agenda. So do we have has everybody had a chance to review the agenda, and are there any changes that would like to be made to that agenda, to tonight's agenda?
Mike, I have reviewed it. I'd like to make a motion to move items 8 and 9 respectively. That's the board comments and public comments that are not on the agenda ahead of item 4, so that our community members that are in the audience don't have to wait all night and all that.
Okay. I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so Karen, please make that that note.
yeah, actually that'll be Mr. Mackey, but we're going to move. Let me just clarify to make sure I got it. We're moving items 8 and 9 to before governing council business or before the closed session.
It would be ahead of item 4. So that would be before we do all of the approval of minutes and school finance and all that.
So right after approval of minutes, then we'll go into the 8 and 9 moving to that.
Yep, that would be fine.
Okay. So do we have, has everybody had a chance to review the minutes from last meeting, and are there any alterations that need to be made at this point? If not, then do we have a motion to accept them?
A motion to accept the board minutes from the December 19th meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
You
Okay.
approve the agenda with the changes? Or did I missed it?
We voted to approve it.
Okay, thank you.
So Chair, if I can start off with the
Yes.
board comments before we jump
Right.
into our public comment session. And I would say, while I do that, I would like to invite our community members that are attending virtually that are wishing to address the board to please let us know in the chat now if you'd like to speak on anything that's not on the agenda tonight. You can do that by raising your digital hand or letting us know in the chat. And then once I get finished up, then we'll get everybody that wants to speak a chance to speak. Just as a quick reminder, comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person during that time. The board will not be able to respond, discuss, or take any action on any of the comments until the topic appears on a future agenda. And the board may limit repetitive comments on the same topic. So while anybody's raising their hand and figuring out where those chat buttons are, I'd just like to share a couple thoughts that I wrote down today. I know this week's it's been difficult for our school community. I want to start off by acknowledging the concern and the uncertainty that many of us are feeling and the impact that some of the topics this week have on those of us who have suffered different abuses and traumas in our own past. I understand how even talking about some of these topics can trigger strong emotions, and I empathize with you, and I apologize if I get emotional reading this. I joined this board in 2023. It was a way for me to get back and be involved in my community. My daughter goes to this school. I graduated from this district, and I have friends with children that are here at Explore. I come from a family that is full of educators. My mom taught in this district for almost 20 years. My dad worked for the district. I've seen firsthand the incredible dedication of our teachers, the counselors, the nurses, the support staff, and they're the heart and soul of this school and this community, I feel like. I hear from families every week about the positive difference this school has made in their children's lives out at the bus stop and through chats and just how glad they are that they have a choice of where to send their kids. I think this school's special. I think it's doing great things. And as a board member, I realize that starting a charter school is no small task, especially given the budgetary constraints in this state. I know we all want a private school experience on a public school budget, but I have complete trust in our head administrator, Jackie, and her team to provide our children a great education in a safe and nurturing environment. But let me be unequivocally clear about something. Abuse, whether it is bullying, abuse of authority, verbal, mental, or physical abuse, has absolutely no place in school or any educational setting. I'm not just talking about this week's topics, but we as parents and a community need to take an active role in raising responsible, caring, and kind young people, teaching right from wrong and how to treat others with respect and leading by example. As it relates to this school's relationship with Explore Learning Systems and the allegations against Mr. Bayardo this week, I've been reviewing our contacts with ELS, and while already quite clear, I'll be working with our school's legal counsel and this board to request changes to how ELS works with our school, and that those are in our school's best interest. We're also closely watching how Mr. Bayardo's employer handles this matter. My first concern when I learned about these allegations was the safety of our students, and I want to stress Mr. Bayardo does not and has not worked with our students, does not have contact with our students, and if there is ever a reason that he is in the building while students are present, he'll be accompanied by an employee or a council member. Second, and this seems to be a source of understandable confusion due to Mr. Bayardo's past employment with the Albuquerque Explore Academy and the support that Explore Learning Systems provides to the school. I know I was confused at first, so I want to make it clear that neither Mr. Bayardo or ELS runs this school nor supervises any of its employees. And the work that the 20-some support staff from ELS do for this school is at the request of and under the oversight of Ms. Bogue and this governing council. All that said, I believe strongly in this school and the Explore model. I believe that we're a strong community, and I believe that we're providing our students with an exceptional education. I will do everything, I know this board will do everything that they can to make sure that that continues to happen. Those are my comments. Chair, are there any other comments before we take comments from the community?
None on my end. I don't know if any of the other board members have anything. Thank you very much, Chris, for that. Skip, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
No, I don't at this time. I appreciate Chris's comments and fully support what he has said and agree with what he has said tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Skip. So, Mike, Chair, for public comments, I think what the plan is to move community members who have expressed an interest in addressing the board one by one to the panel, if there are any.
So
Where
currently,
they'll be able to.
excuse me,
Go
Member
ahead.
Kenworthy, we have no comments in the chat and no digital hands raised, and I think they had
Okay.
sufficient time to do so. So I'm
Perfect.
assuming that no one at this point, unless something pops up right this second, looks like no one has any comments to add.
Thank
Okay.
you very much. Okay. So then moving on. Since we have no over there, so let's go back to this. Okay, so we're up to our school finance report then.
Yes, and I'm trying to find my, sorry, my list of participants again to promote Josh to the panel. There he is.
Hey, Josh.
Josh.
Hi, everyone.
Lou,
Happy New Year. I know we haven't spoken quite some time, so everyone had a wonderful holiday.
yes.
It was
hope
a
you did
nice
well.
retreat.
Yes, yes, it was. Yes, it was. But back to business, and we have a lot to catch up on, around 2 months worth. So first we'll review November's expenses. Um, Most of the vendors we've seen before, the high dollar items are from vendors that have either a contract with the school or have to do with payroll or have to do with utilities. So a lot of the same vendors. A couple of new ones that are small dollar would be Ventus Learning for $602. Besides teacher manuals that the school purchased. Western Psychological. It's down here somewhere. There we go. So it's linguistics services that were provided to the school. And then one that pops up ever so often semi-annually is the Public Finance Authority. So this amount of around $1,700 is a semi-annual bond fee that the school has to pay twice a year for its bond coverage. Other than that, ERB payments having to do with payroll being a big 163,000, and then of course payroll totaling in the month of $209,420.32.
What is Albert Sanchez Bus Company?
So that's a bus company for a field trip that the school took to Popejoy,
Okay.
and we'll see that in December as well.
Okay.
Any other questions on the expenses in November or any vendors that people want more information on?
You should see some deposits made to also cover some of the bus fees in there as well.
Right.
Yeah, so not all of it was, we didn't have a balance on it, like a straight in and out. We did cover one, and then the rest, some students did pay, so you'll see some differences on that.
Okay.
Right. We'll see that in the reconciliation of deposits that were made on behalf of the school. But yeah, Jackie's right. It was for the most part covered by people paying to go on the trip.
Okay. Thank you. No other questions. We'll move on.
Okay. December, still a lot of the same vendors again that we pay monthly. A couple of new ones, Lexia Learning System. So this is a online course that some of the teachers are required to take. It's called Letters. I know Karen and Jacqueline have a lot more experience with explaining what that is, but it's just a required course that the some of the teachers have to take if they haven't already passed it. So it's an expense that the school has to incur, and it's mandated by the state that it does. Um, Again, UMB Bank here for 45,000. That's a semi-annual administration fee for the rents. So we'll only see that twice a year. And we did mention the buses again, and I believe they're in here for the field trip. And another not so often expense that the school paid out of its check booklet at the school is a holiday party and a fundraiser for the PTO.
The PTO was reimbursed, like we got the check to us and then I had to reissue the check. And then um, the holiday party was um, paid, but also deposit. We got a donation of, I believe, $1,000. So we did use a portion of that for our holiday party to provide snacks for teachers after a training on a Friday, and the rest is still sitting in our activities. But yeah,
Right. So yeah, Jacqueline had the student activities balance, which paid for the holiday party and any snacks associated with it. So this is not coming out of operational, but it still hits the same bank account.
Okay. Any other questions?
The only the Halo Technologies and Security, I just see it doubled, and its payment was on the same day. Is that just from
It's a
two
missed
invoices?
invoice from the previous month, so it'll be
Okay.
October, November essentially.
Okay.
we got some cameras. So the camera system that was already existing in the school, we were able to hook into. However, a lot of the cameras were very dated. So when we were trying to navigate some student behaviors out on the playground, we ended up asking for 2 of those cameras to be replaced with what they called a better fisheye and a 360 view. But where the basketball court is, because of the patio cover behind the cafeteria, we had them put a second one right where the cafeteria door gets out. So now we can see the basketball court, which will eventually be also where the field is. As you can imagine, if you're going to have behaviors, it's going to be, well, we're disagreeing about how we play basketball and or pass the ball. So we felt adding that extra one to the existing camera was a good buy and gave us more eyes on kids as needed. And then we also saw some illegal dumping over the holidays, which was fun. We had some tires put into our dumpsters, and we're making sure that there's locks on the dumpsters over the weekend so that that will not be taking place.
Thank you. I just have a comment for you, Jackie. I don't know how you have less of a gas bill than I do at home for that large school. So congratulations on that.
I'm sure it's wrong, but no, I'm kidding. Hopefully.
I don't think it is.
We've been, I think I told you guys, we've been really good at Miss Desiree Salgado, our tech kind of guru, and Bo, our facilities from the Explore Learning Systems. They figured out how to rewire and make sure that the breakers and everything goes off. And then what we've been doing is the weekend, so basically starting at 2 o'clock on Fridays, we turn back all thermostats over the weekend. And then, of course, during any break, we're turning it back, and we've kind of scaled it down. So sometimes when you come in, the front office might be a bit chilly, but the rest of the school is rather comfortable. So I think they've been doing a really good job at monitoring that, and I'm hoping that has helped with some of our utility bills.
And Josh, I do see the New Mexico Gas on there twice. Is this just one from previous month as well?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay.
Previous month's bill.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
Nope. Thank you. Moving on.
Okay, November's bank reconciliation. The school began November with $127,000 roughly. Had receipts in the amount of $480,000 roughly, and disbursements of $458,000 roughly. So, with all of that, the activity was in the positive for November, and it ended the month with $147,797.41. We still had some outstanding payments that did not clear that month. And the expected general ledger and general ledger both match one another, which means we don't have any JEs for you all to approve this this month.
And you guys you're cleaning those up monthly now.
We are. Yep, that is correct.
Okay. Are invoices and stuff being entered timely into Mineral Tree? I know it is just kind of starting to help with that. There seemed like there was a few that were late, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, we're getting on
Okay.
top of it again with the holiday. It's a little more difficult to be right on top of it, a little timely. We all had a break. So we're catching up here in January, and we're pretty steady with receiving them on time. And then obviously approvals have been great thus far from you all.
Okay.
All right. In December, as discussed, the balance was $147,000 roughly. Receipts in around $414,000, and disbursements of $565,000 roughly. So the school was a little bit exceeded disbursements more than receipts in the month, but it had a healthy balance to take that, and ended the month with $96,615.44. We had prior payments that cleared and no outstanding payments roughly, and expected general ledger and general ledger both match, so no GEs to present to you all for the month of December.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm. And I believe that I have one more, and that is a bar. And this is a lease assistance bar that needs to be approved by the board. It was awarded to the school in the amount of $220,212, and it will be going straight to help with the expenses of rent. So offset a couple of some expenses with rent, and we should be receiving this money at the end of this month or early February to help the school gain some more revenue.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you need a motion to accept the budget adjustment request.
Mhm.
It'd be foolish not to. So
Right.
I make a motion to accept it. The budget adjustment request.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We also will need a motion to accept the financials that are presented.
Yes.
So I'll motion to accept the financials as presented.
And I'll second.
Mhm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay, so we'll jump into the forecast of where right now at the end of December, early January, where we think that the school is going to end. So the SEG revenue is based off 430 students. Payroll benefits and payroll, it's bound to fluctuate throughout the year, going up or down. So we won't really get a good handle on that until it gets closer to the end of the year. We did move some of the expenses from a certain code to another code to clean it up a little bit for PED to accept the finances and for there not to be any audit findings. So we moved the $25,000 into purchase property services. With the changes in November and December, it did bring our ending fund balance down, but this is inclusive of the bond covenant, so it's roughly $200,000 at the end of the year that the school will have left over. But $5,000 to play around with and to have as quite as a buffer to meet bond covenant isn't really that much, so something could happen at the school, knock on wood that nothing does, that could just eat away at that. So Jackie and I are going to meet at the end of this month and every month going forward towards the end of the month to manage any expenses that we think are coming up, look at all POs and see if we can find any savings so we can have a little bit of more of a buffer at the end of the year.
And does this include that the lease assistance?
This does, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So this is what the cash flow looks like for the remainder of the year. Again, pretty healthy ending cash balance. It's just, that pesky bond covenant that we do have to meet. Unfortunately, that's going to be pretty tight. And this is what the cash flow will look like. Lease assistance is going to start coming in here towards the next coming months, which will help cash flow. And again, a large double payment at the end of June for salaries to clear up the year and close it out. And it's going to drop the cash flow. So our goal is to meet bond covenants and have a little buffer for the school coming into next year. We want to watch enrollments and identify any savings that we could possibly have. One of those ways to get savings is not hiring if there is any employees that may leave unless it's absolutely necessary. I think that's the biggest expense for any school is salaries and benefits. So that would be a way to save some money. In the next 30 days, the Q2 cash reports are due, and we're working tirelessly to get those done by the end of the month. But right now, we just need to manage the forecast and budget to meet bond covenants. And the budget for FY26 is going to be due in April and May. So I'll be working with Jackie to mold that and get ready for the new year already. And that is all I have.
Well, thank you very much. I think it's a little bit more positive than it has been in a couple of months ago. So that's great.
I'll tell you what, I've been pushing to get that bond covenant waived or reduced in light of the maturing of that bond towards the end of next year, I believe, or however you would refer to that. So hopefully we'll get some wiggle room on it. We'll see.
Oh, that'd be great. I mean, then we're talking about something new all entirely, and that would definitely help the school and help Jackie turn a little bit more heat on there. So have some lights.
Yep.
Have some lights after 2 p.m.
Now the electric bill was over 3,000. So
okay, well maybe not that. Yeah. Well,
It
they'll be
was,
warm in the
remember,
dark.
we had a couple months ago, it was in the 12s and 7s.
yeah, well, that was AC. Obviously we're on better climate right now. So
Jackie, tell those kids to charge those Chromebooks at home.
No comment.
Okay, so thank you. Any other questions for Josh? No. Thank you very much, Josh. And
No, thank you.
we'll see you next month.
Absolutely.
Sending Josh through cyberspace.
Okay, so moving on to governing council business. Board policies for review, all that sort of stuff. Karen?
Yeah, so I've been trying to do this. Just we had discussed like reviewing policies on a regular basis and not sure which policies the board has actually paid attention to. A lot of them were approved as part of our very start of the school in the beginning. And so just picking a couple to do each month or so, because to read all of them is a bit of a job. To write all of them is a bit of a job. So tonight we did list the civil rights, basically anything related to complaints and grievances. So civil rights, which is all about your protected classes, is a little bit different than any grievance about your general concerns regarding the school. There's a policy and a form for each. They are a little different primarily because I guess the biggest difference is a civil rights complaint. Somebody complains about harassment or discrimination or something due to a protected class that needs to be investigated and resolved right away, and needs to be addressed immediately. And if it's about any staff member, that goes to Jackie. Of course, if it were about Jackie, it would go to the board as her boss. So that's that one. And then the other one is more generic, right? Like if any kind of concern regarding whether it's a family or a staff member or whatever, that should start at the lowest level, right? You should start with the teacher you're having trouble with or whatever it is and work your way up. At this point, you have a head administrator / principal. So the next step is her. And then again, finally to the board, but it outlines that expectation. As you well know, because if anything comes to this board and hasn't been taken to Jackie first, that's the first thing you do is refer it back, right? Not with civil rights, of course, because you're not going to ask someone to confront who they see as a harasser or discriminator, like you don't send the victim there. But in terms of general policies and complaints, it should start at the lowest level, work its way up. Those are the biggest differences. There was a couple of additions added in blue that weren't in your original document. It's just outlining that if it involves the head administrator, it goes to the governing board. And I think it also involves if it has to do with a relative of anyone that you that goes to the next level. Basically, I think is how it's. I can pull it up if you want the exact wording, but it's in there in blue. Um, and then the forms are
Here it
different.
says if the complaint is regarding the head administrator, it should go directly to the governing board, as you said. If the complaint references a relative of the administrator, that administrator shall recuse themselves from the complaint and should direct them to another administrator. Those are basically the changes to it. So
Yeah, and so not significant changes. And for those of you who may have not read this the first time around or weren't on maybe involved in the first approval, I would just say that all of the things in there in terms of out timing and all that are statutorily required, um, or primarily are. Like I didn't make up the timelines and or make up the requirements. They're kind of outlined in statute, so you could refer to statute for it. But now it's we've adopted it in a policy to refer folks to. So yeah, so that's all. I ask for approval, but or you can postpone.
I've reviewed them. I don't know if everybody else on the board has. I make a motion to approve as presented, unless there's another comment from any of the other board members.
No, I looked it over and it looks very thorough. Potentially for next year, couple areas that, could be fleshed out a little bit more, just around stuff like uses terminology around like reasonable time or expedited timeframes and stuff that aren't specific. But there's also a within 30 days there and stuff. So I think it's good. And yeah, that's the only thing that I kind of caught looking through it.
Mr. Chair, I have on my agenda, I've got the two broken up. Do we need to vote on them that way or lump them?
It depends on the motion. So I was going to ask for a clarification. Your motion is to approve one or both. And if it's both, that's fine too, unless there's some objection and we want to pull it apart. So
Any objection to either of them? And do we have, can we vote together and approve both the board policy, the complaint grievance complaint and form, and then the for civil rights and for general concerns? Do we
If
have
your
a-
motion is that, then we can see if there's a second and move forward.
Okay, my
So-
motion
so-
is to approve the two policies for civil rights and general concerns. I
Right.
make a motion to approve them.
I will second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Karen.
And just one comment in response to Mr. Kenworthy's comment. The board can at any time bring any board policy forward for consideration and revision.
Okay.
I just want
Good
to
to know.
work through, I just want to work through as many of the policies as possible as we go, and can keep circling around because things do change. And then as, of course, if there's a statute change or something, I'll highlight that. But I do think it's a good idea to review policies and approve them. But again, anytime, if you read one, for example, there's a link on the agenda just with all the policies, but I'm pulling out a couple to approve as we go each month. But if you find one that you really want to address or you have concerns about, let's just let me know and we'll bring it forward.
Thank you.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, so if additional committees were up to Chris.
Yes, I had mentioned this last month, and I don't know if there's anything that we want to do because Karen had mentioned, regarding our next closed session that we already kind of have a group of people that are working on that, so it doesn't necessarily need its own committee. I think at some point it might make sense to have a group that maybe has a little bit more expertise on finances and things like that, but probably not till budget gets a little bit bigger. I think sometimes when we're sitting here looking at stuff, sometimes it's nice to have a little bit more time to look or bounce things back and forth. But yeah, I think we're good right now.
Okay,
I guess I would, unless somebody wants to make a motion, otherwise I'm good to move on from that one.
okay.
So you may want to just take a vote to table it, maybe, Chris.
Okay, we can do that. So I'll make a motion to table any additional committees.
I'll second. Oh.
Okay, Chris, Skip, you can second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And I just want to also share with the board around committees. You're such a small group that it's hard to form committees.
Mhm.
But if you decide to form committees, it doesn't have to, and it can just, the things about committees you need to remember is you can't have more than 2 board members, or it has to be at a public meeting. And you
Mhm.
can have staff or other folks, community members on those committees to work with you. So as you're thinking about it in the future, want to bring it forward in the future, just remember that no more than 2 board members, and you can invite staff or others to participate in that and then report back to the full board at a meeting. So just sharing a little guidance there.
Okay. Appreciate it.
so now we are moving on to our closed session. So we will have a motion to move into the closed session. I will make that motion. And do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And then
Okay.
what do we need to do on the Zoom side?
Karen
Yep,
will.
so I'm sending, I don't like to send it out before the meeting because then and undoubtedly have somebody use the wrong link. I am going to add the members on this committee and Ms. Bogue, I assume that's who'll be in closed session. I'm
Yes.
going to
Mhm.
add those folks to an invite. And you'll get that. And I'm also going to put the link in the chat here for you as well. And
Okay.
then as soon as that is off and running, you can leave and go to that meeting. I'll be opening that on another computer. And of course, when you come back, if you have trouble getting back to this main meeting, do check your email for an original registration if you have trouble getting back to this link.
Okay.
Question, Karen.
Yeah,
Do
sure.
we just leave it like at the bottom where it says like the little person through the door leave? Or do I keep this page open? I leave it
So,
completely.
yeah, probably best, honestly, if you leave it completely,
Okay.
just to be sure that it's not overheard heard here. But I have had folks And what I'm going to do is leave it open and go over there.
Okay.
So I'm going to
Mute
make
it.
sure it's muted and my camera's
Yeah.
off here. But it's probably best just to avoid any,
Okay,
to leave this meeting and
thank
go
you.
to the other one, which I need to
Okay,
put in the chat for you.
Okay.
Chat is only shared with the hosts and panelists right now, so no one else can see that. So the link is there. The link also should have come to your email as an invitation.
Mhm.
I will be over there to let you all in. It has a waiting room. It's a regular meeting. We'll keep this open for attendees and or when you return.
thank you,
Um,
Karen.
we will see you on the closed session, and I'm going to also use that time if anybody needs to refresh themselves or whatnot before we enter into that closed session. So we will see you in a minute or two over there. Thank you.
I'm also going to pause the recording here.
Thank you. Okay, so it is 7:06. We are back from our closed session. And do we have a motion to exit out of our closed session to join the general session?
I will make that motion to exit the closed session and rejoin the open session.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so during our closed session, we discussed the possibilities of expanding our Explore Rio Rancho campus or grades. And so Chris, do you want to make a motion to?
Sure. So I make a motion to pursue option 1 as discussed during our closed session.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And okay, so
What else was on the agenda? I got to go back.
yeah, so we're up to admin staff reports.
Oh, geez.
I'll keep it short, guys. I appreciate
Yes.
all of your support over the past well since I've started, but literally the past week. It's been quite nice just to make sure that I know I have you guys kind of in the corner. It's been a trying week, as I'm sure you can imagine, but it's always just refreshing to know that you guys are in favor of the work we do, the work I'm doing, and that you guys, you know, that trust what I'm doing as an admin. So that's always refreshing, even when days are a little bit more difficult than others. But I think we're just trudging along and making sure that we are. I think I expressed to you guys in November. We were going to stick to our handbook and to our model and to what the charter says, which might have made a few families upset. I know we've talked about grades, we've talked about what is written in our handbook, and holding to that handbook has at times been difficult on my end, but I think that's the only way we can continue to have the integrity of the school and why people have come over. Chris and Karen, I think you guys have both shared that people are at our school because they want something different, and at times it's reminding myself that this is what we're doing and this is the why. And so again, just the support on those difficult days it's always refreshing. With that, I did want to share that looking at intent to return of our current, we did lose about 26 students over the course of December until up until literally yesterday. So we've lost some kids for numerous reasons. 11 literally moved out of the state, and then we did have a couple who were able to secure permanent housing in Moriarty, which then took us to about 14, 15 kids out of that. So literally about 12 kids did leave for other various reasons. We have 145 with the intent to return already filled out. That is going to be closing on the 24th. We may have to push that out. I've already expressed that concern with Katia and Leticia from our Explore Learning Systems, especially because I have next Thursday a PTO meeting where parents are wanting to know the update and what is going to happen. So I do think giving more information will assist. We also have the Choice Fair on the 25th at Embassy Suites, which is a citywide charter choice fair where we will be attending, and I have staff joining me to promote the school. As of right now, we do have 201 applicants on our tracker. We're a little bit lower than where we were last year. Last year at the same time, we were closer to 230. So we have seen that small decrease, but we're still projecting to be right where we should be. I have spoken with the ELS team to discuss projections and ideas for next year for staffing and what that might look like. So I'm excited to hopefully start advertising for hiring within the next, hopefully 4 to 6 weeks, once we have, maybe after the next board meeting, once we're a little bit more concrete as to the projection for expansion. So for sure by March 1, I would like to make sure we're having advertisements up, especially if we're going to be hiring any additional admin, because that would be, that's going to be a bit more work to make sure we do secure a second admin to assist with the work of the school. But that's kind of where we're sitting at. So that's my report.
Thank you.
And the rest is really quick. It's me, the reminders part, board training requirements, my monthly nag of all of you to do that.
Haven't done any.
Also, you're going to keep hearing me. Also, board email addresses. I'm going to stop using your personal ones. So if you're not already switched over, and I'll let the others that aren't here know, I'm not going to keep doing it. I've been doing both just to make sure you get the word out, but I think everyone's on the Explore Academy platform. I'm going to just stop sending to your personal. So make sure you're checking that or have a way to get notified on that. The charter school conference, we've talked about this before, just still reminder, I would love for you to, as many of you to attend as possible. It's June 10th and 11th in Albuquerque Embassy Suites. It's free. And you can get some training for next year, maybe for this year, but definitely for next year at that conference. Usually pretty good opportunity to network. Also, I mentioned last month the charter school site visit is coming up. We've got some time, so we don't need to discuss it tonight, but there's a site visit monitoring protocol linked for those of you who want to read all about site visits. I'll be working with Jackie and her staff and the files to make sure they're ready as we did last year. But one piece that does involve the board is a focus group. And so be thinking by next month, I would like to know who on the board would like to participate. It's basically an interview by the Charter Schools Division team during that day of the visit. They can do it virtually or in person. And they typically ask for only 2 so as not to have a quorum. But I will share with you that I know other boards that are posting that they are going to have a quorum of the board together for an interview by the CSD, and no decisions will be made about the school. So then it's not public meeting. But so I guess it depends. If you have a lot of board members who'd like to participate, I think the more the merrier to answer those questions. But if you prefer to just have 2, that's the board's option. No need to discuss it and decide today, but be thinking about it. We can talk in February.
Karen, can
And
I
then
ask
of
a
course,
question?
yeah, of course.
Knowing that Veronica has resigned her position, I have a PTO meeting next week. Do we want me to advertise any of that? Or is that something you guys?
No, anyone is welcome to recruit. I mean, I just try to help. But if you
I just
have
don't know
anyone,
if that's wanted.
well, we have a parent rep
Okay.
already, so we don't need a parent rep. I prefer to not have too many parents on the board because it can get. But if you have a strong parent who's really involved in the community or would add some value that's maybe missing from this board, like for example, I have another board that has a couple of moms. One's an attorney and one's anyway, they have different backgrounds, and so they cover some other areas, like especially if you're somebody finance related, because anybody who can understand finance is always a good thing to have. Not that the folks here don't. I know Chris really digs in a little bit, but
I just
somebody
wing
with
it.
somebody with a financial background, somebody like to represent areas that aren't represented here. Veronica did agree to stay on board until at least the next meeting, while we try to find someone new. So she couldn't make it tonight, but she said she'll stay on the board officially until we have some time to look. Board members, same goes for you. You know people in the community. You have somebody that could fill that that you think you would like to recommend. I do have a sheet that kind of describes the training and basics about the board that I'll send out to all of you. Veronica also said she was going to try to recruit someone as well. So,
I gotta be honest, Karen, you undersold it to me.
okay. I'll work on overselling it then.
No, I'll just say it's been a lot more fun.
Cool. I'm glad you like it. And you know, maybe you're the best person to try to recruit somebody then. But I do think it's important to have people from the community. And so if you know people, yes, absolutely. Recruit them. If we get too many applicants, then we have to make a decision. That's not a bad problem. What I recommend is that they send a letter of interest and a resume to the board email, board-rio@expo.academy. And then the board, you know, typically what I do for the board, but it's up to you, is I meet with the applicant, often with the head administrator. So if the head administrator is available, and then bring them full, or sometimes with the board chair, whoever wants to, just to kind of have a question, kind of feel them out, and then bring it forth to you guys. So if we have lots of applicants, cool beans, one of you recommends somebody, probably not going to deny them unless we have a lot to choose from. So, yeah, so be thinking about filling the spot as well as who's going to represent the school's governing board at the site visit day during that interview. Okay.
Okay.
And how you want to handle it, 2 members or as many as want to. And I just post a disclaimer.
Okay.
I also put on here insurance coverage for the governing board because we had talked about me getting actual policies for you. I did email and ask for that information. And so I thought I would have it today, but see, it turns out the girl I was working with is her email's bouncing, which is weird because she just contacted me about the cybersecurity breach. So maybe she's just got a full inbox. I'm not sure. But so I'm going to have to bring that next month. But suffice it, I mean, I think I said this already, but I do have an email that confirms that you all are covered on your decisions you make for the school operations, similar to a DNO, but it's part of the school insurance policy. You are covered. But Mike had asked me to get a copy of the policy and details, and I've attempted but failed to get that in time. And then the last one is the board policy folder that, you know, you're welcome to read through and pick out any that are of interest to you. But I'm going to keep trying to bring a couple each meeting for you to actually read. That's it.
Okay. All right. So that's our meeting. If there's nobody that has anybody, if I can speak, if there's anybody that has anything else they'd like to add to that, otherwise we will take a motion to end the meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for February 20th. And do we have a motion?
I can make a motion to end our meeting.
I couldn't
At-
unmute, so I'll second.
All right, 7:19.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks, everybody.